All right, we are back talking NASCAR on the Prime Sports Radio Network. Prime Sports NASCAR. CJ Radoon from RotoWire.com, Eric Smith from RaceReviewOnline.com joining me as always. They will interrupt whenever they want. So, guys, Bristol. I don't know what the announcers, the analysts after the race and on Monday post race. I'm not sure why they were. I mean, they were kind of surprised, but they kind of weren't regarding the way the race transpired and the end of the race. And oh yeah, this is Bristol, but I don't know. It's like, yeah. I mean, I don't even care. We don't even need to have these kind of great finishes at Bristol for Bristol to be a great racetrack.
I thought
Yeah.
it was. I thought it was a much more even race than we've seen with this package and a lot of other tracks. It seemed like you had much more competition. You had a number of crashes, all the exciting things. And Bristol has a history of producing really great races. And like you said, Greg, I didn't see any difference this weekend. It was another really exciting race, and the finish was just the icing on the cake for it all, I think.
Eric?
Yeah, I agree. It just goes to show that this lower downforce package, that it just kind of raced like the old Bristol, and the drivers kept talking about how you take the practice aspect out, start the field on an either invert or draw, and just go race. It proves that it works. So I think it was another notch in the belt for that. And I would say if Bristol in the playoffs race a lot like that, then we're in for a good treat, because you're going to have even more people moving each other out of the way. So I'm looking forward to a return trip there.
Well, hopefully, look, they're able to change rules whenever they want. So let's hope they make that change right away. We've got a schedule update that's not so good, though. So now Pocono is still this month, right?
Yes.
So that was, and we weren't really sure. Well, we kind of figured there weren't going to be any fans at Pocono since it was still in June. But there was a lot of hope that there would be fans at the Brickyard. And okay, so now there's not going to be any fans at Pocono or the Brickyard. So why? What's the reason for the Brickyard? Even though all of the news regarding the virus is positive, nobody's even talking about it anymore. I know there's another distraction going on, but hey, if there was a lot of stuff, if there was still a lot of negativity with the virus, they'd still talk about it. They don't. So what's the reason?
Well, I could say that it's, fortunately for here in Indiana, I would say it's more politically charged, unfortunately.
Political?
The mayor, yeah, it's so
no.
The Indiana governor, yeah, unfortunately, the governor's a Republican and the mayor of Indianapolis is a Democrat. And,
that's nice.
So
and wait, and then let me guess, the Republican wants to race and the Democrat doesn't. Or I mean, fans. The Democrat, he doesn't want to bring. He doesn't want to. It's just too much of a health risk for the fans to go back to the stadium, right?
Did you read the press release? That was
Is that what it was?
Exactly what the press release said.
Yes.
Yeah. Really? Okay.
So yep. So
and by the way, if they riot there, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I watched all last week in the news of people rioting here in downtown Indy, and nobody seems to be wearing any masks. And then I saw the other night, which they had this touching thing on the news where the cops just laid everything down and marched with the protesters, and nobody had masks. They were hugging and high-fiving and shaking hands. And it's like, well, we're technically in the midst of you're not supposed to do that. And why are you doing that? And then now you're going to say in July 4th and 5th, when the entire state is supposed to reopen, other than Indianapolis, that you can't do that here. It just it's baffling. But
yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of families and young people in Indianapolis come 4th of July that are going to stay in. They're going to protect themselves. They're not going to go out. They're not going to party. They're not going to go to the beaches and the pools.
No, not at all. I mean, here's how weird this is. So, Governor Holcomb's plan is 5 stages. May 1st, he announced this. they were going to go in a couple week increments. And then once you get to July 4th, everything's open. Everything's back to status quo. Well, Indianapolis decided to say, we like that plan, but we're going to wait 2 weeks before we implement your plan.
Oh,
We're
let's
come
wait
in a
2
couple
weeks when the race is not going to be there for another year.
Yeah. So Indianapolis has been operating about 10 to 14 days behind. But when this announcement came, they all saw, hey, July 4th, cool, the race, it's going to be open. And everybody started talking about that. And then the city is like, well, we're going to stay back. And first, I get it. The cases in Marion County are higher and the deaths are higher. But if nobody's paid a lot of attention, Indiana's got a lot of counties with cornfields in it. And Marion County is kind of dense, the biggest city in the state. So, of course, they're going to have the most cases and deaths. But I digress. It's the only county here, and because I live in the county just south of Marion County, and my mom lives in County Line Road on the other side of Indianapolis, and we live in the Greenwood side. In Greenwood, until on Monday, I could go to a restaurant, get my hair cut, go out, have my wife go to get her nails done, and anything you wanted to do, we could do. In Marion County, you couldn't do any of that. It's like, what you talking to me? I could throw a stone over there, and you're telling me what's the difference? So by them operating behind, the Speedway basically said, and I quote, "Today it's not possible to be confident that Indianapolis will be at stage 5 of the state's reopening plan by the 4th of July weekend."
Now, shouldn't this be a discussion that NASCAR should have had with the mayor, whoever's in charge, so they could have dated the race when they had the best chance of having fans?
You would have thought, because IndyCar's already moved, like Road America was supposed to run in a couple weeks. They moved it back to June just for the chance Wisconsin might be able to allow fans back. So if I was IndyCar, and no, it's a long gap between your first race this weekend and your next race, which would coincidentally enough be Road America again, I would just move the road course race off that day, because the whole part of that was to have a doubleheader weekend with NASCAR and IndyCar and big for the fans. But now you're doing it behind closed doors. How special is it really to see an empty Indianapolis Motor Speedway and a doubleheader? That really doesn't mean much anymore. So
yeah,
if I was IndyCar, I'd move it.
And by the way, I want to stress this point, that it doesn't matter if which party we're talking about. So if we had switched the parties and their beliefs, so like for instance, if a Democrat was in office right now as a president, then there is little doubt that they would be doing the same thing that is going on now, in my mind. And then on the flip side, it would be the other party, the Republicans, that would be talking about health and you need to stay indoors. So I don't want anybody thinking about we're taking sides here. It's just, it's politics. One side's going to do what the other side's not going to do. That's all it's about. So, which is why I'm an independent. Yeah, it's why I'm an independent, and I would never be foolish enough to choose a party, because that's to me that you're choosing an allegiance to something that you're not going to believe in everything, or not even close to everything that one party believes in. I wish the whole country was independent, but obviously that's not the case. So when are we going to get fans again for the next NASCAR race?
Well, there's a potential next weekend. They're looking at Homestead as a possibility of having fans there, and then possibly the weekend after that at Talladega. There's talks with the local governments. Grant, and it's going to be in limited capacity. Not going to say, hey, we'll open up all the gates and let everybody in. But again, you got to look, it's a short time frame. So are they going to be able to sell tickets? Probably not. They'd more discuss Homestead, like National Guard, military members, like maybe we'll let them in just to make it look like, hey, let's reward them, come back, and then maybe look at Talladega as fans. But now after this announcement, it almost seems like NASCAR, they're in a rock and a hard place now. Like, do you just wait until mid-July, just give it another month, and then say, all right, now we can come back in a bigger capacity? Because are you really going to want to run 2 races with fans, or even 1 race, depending on how those 2 go go another 2 weeks without fans, and then come back with. I mean, it just gets confusing at that point. So they're supposed to make an announcement around 3:00 of this next schedule coming out. We'll see if this says anything about fans in that, but I do know Homestead and Talladega are working on it. But they said they don't expect anything on that front until next week in terms of fans for those races.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a weird time again. But
Look,
at least they're racing.
Television-wise, it doesn't matter at all. What matters for TV viewers are the stupid masks that have got to go. Okay,
Yes.
I mean, we all, the gig's up. Everybody knows what's going on now. Again, you can use one of those crazy mics, those little stretchers 6-8 feet away. Just, you don't have to have a mask if you're 6-8 feet away. I mean, just can we please just get rid of that soon? Because that's still aggravating me, watching these guys with their masks on when nobody's around them. So,
yeah, it's weird. And then, well, it kind of cost us the Chase Elliott, Joey Logano confrontation because, like, hey, if you wanted to be a lip reader, that'd be great, but you can't even tell what they're saying.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it just, the whole thing's weird. I would rather just, if we're going to start getting back to normal, let's start getting back to normal. But it just, nobody wants to make the right call or be the one to make the call, it seems like at this point now.
All right. And we all got screwed again with Chase. We all had Chase Elliott and Joey Logano. And we all lost. Chase Elliott and Joey Logano were leading in the final lap. So that's, I think, 3 races now this year where I've had to lead in the race that should have been closed deal, and I lost all 3. So, and this is NASCAR, how hard it is to win. And Brad Keselowski, we say it all the time, and this is why we say what we say about Brad Keselowski. Nobody steals more races than Brad Keselowski. He must have stolen more than half of his career races.
It seems like it. I mean, he even said that after his win in this coming week or this past week that he's just kind of lucking into these things. Like, he doesn't have the speed in his car to necessarily win. And he admitted, like, hey, look, I did not have a race-winning car. And if you look at his quote from the Coke 600, I didn't have a race-winning car. He keeps saying that he doesn't have it, but that's why I guess you don't give up. I mean, he overcame the pit road speeding penalty, him and Logano both. And then you look up, and there they are. I mean, Denny Hamlin wrecks there with 11 to go. Chase Elliott's back in the lead. Then him and Logano take each other out, and lo and behold, there's Keselowski again. So it sets him up. He won Atlanta last year. He's won 2 of the last 3 years in Atlanta, in fact, and now he's won the last 2 Sunday races. It's like he's becoming Tiger Woods. Didn't Tiger wear like the red polo on Sundays? I mean, Can Keselowski get like a certain designated car for Sundays? Because it seems like that's when he just gets gifted wins. As he said, it feels like Christmas again. He just keeps getting Christmas presents. So
he's, and even these wins, he's had the 2. Let's see, he's won 2 of the last 3 races here at this track. And if you look at it, in the last 3 races where he's finished first, second, and first, he's led 33, 38, and 21 laps. He's only led 92 laps in the last 3 races at Atlanta. He's won 2, and he's been second once. So the guy does not dominate racetracks and races, period. And this is just not a thing this year. This is his career. I mean, really, I'd like to see what his average lap number is in all of his wins. They've got to be lower career-wise than any other driver ever.
Yeah, I think it is. And certainly if you compare it to somebody like Martin Truex Jr. or Kyle Busch, when they're going to dominate, they go out and they dominate and they lead the entire freaking race. Same thing with Chase Elliott. He's probably even got more laps led on average than Keselowski throughout his career. But I put it down to Penske. I mean, we know these guys have the best crew chiefs and the best strategy callers that are out there. And it's a matter of keeping yourself inside the top 5 and making the right decision when it comes down to be your turn to make that decision. And, this one obviously wasn't a decision, but the decisions and the work of his team got him in position to be able to take advantage when Logano and Elliott took themselves out. So I put it down to the team and the crew chiefs and the way that they're calling the strategies.
Again, not only has Ford won the last 3 races, Toyota hasn't won a race in Atlanta the last 6, but 3 of the last 5 winners started outside the top 15, including the 19th position and the 37th position. So with no practice, no qualifying, with inverted this and inverted that, and the way Atlanta, you can just come from behind, hopefully we'll have an exciting race, because Atlanta, this track, we've seen over the years, if they have the right package, the track, it could be a good race. There's a chance we could have a really fun race on Sunday.
Yeah, it's the third oldest surface in NASCAR. Dover in 1995 and Fontana in 1996 are the only 2 racing surfaces older. So it's bumpy, it's aged, it produces a lot of tire wear, which produces multiple lanes they're racing because you got to find your spot. So more drivers say you race the racetrack compared to other drivers just because you can't keep blowing tires or blowing track position. You have to be sure you're careful. If somebody's faster, you let them go, and because the harder you go, the quicker your tires are going to wear. So it's the risk versus reward, which makes it good. And we'll see with this package again. I didn't think last year's race was terribly bad on the surface, so we'll see with the high downforce, because again, you got more grip in the corners because of that. How much is that going to do for tire wear, which last year it had plenty. But in your point, with this surface and creating better races, the best team this year on tracks like that have been Hendrick. And you look at Toyota, like you said, they haven't won since Kyle Busch in 2013. Do they have the right package this weekend? That'll remain to be seen, because they don't have any practice to see. So, but yeah, it statistically has produced good races because of the surface, and eventually it's going to need to be repaved. I mean, the track is falling apart.
We hope not.
You would hope not. They basically just glue it together and run again and then leave. So as long as they can keep it up, Atlanta's always going to be a favorite track for these drivers.
Okay, Kevin Harvick, the odds-on favorite here at 4-1, and why not? 11 of his last 13 races have resulted in top 10s here, with 6 top 5s, 2 runner-ups in a win, the win in 2018, while leading 1,127 laps during those 13 races. And he's coming off an 11th last week, the first time he has finished outside the top 10 this year. He's still leading the points. I have him. CJ has him. Matter of fact, I have him pretty big. He's my biggest one of the week. I put 50 of my $100 on him, more than CJ's got 30 on him. But Eric decided to stay away from Kevin Harvick. Why?
Well, because the 4-1, I like. Granted, it's pretty good odds, but I just felt like there were some other guys out there that you could get a little more value for and spend a little more money on to have bigger rewards.
Now, you like Chase Elliott, and CJ and I do not have Chase Elliott. He's never led a lap here. He does have 3 top 10s, but he's coming off a 19th last year. We know how great he's racing, but now his odds are down to 6-1. Now his odds are with the big boys, but you're taking Chase Elliott. You're not taking Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, because with Harvick, what scares me is out of the 11 top 10s, he's got 29 starts there, but he's only won twice. Mm-hmm, he leads a lot of laps. He just doesn't, and it's coincidentally enough because he's nicknamed the closer. He doesn't close a lot in Atlanta. I mean, he led 101 laps in 2012, finished 19th. He led 195 laps a couple years later, finished 6th. He led 116 laps the year after that, finished 9th. He led 181 laps. 292 laps the year after that, and that was when he was 9th, 131 the year before that. So
Keselowski's the closer, by the way.
Yeah, now Keselowski, he kind of took that.
He's the closer.
But would I be shocked if Harvick won on Sunday? No. But for the odds and for betting purposes with money, I feel like some of these guys that are more long shots, 10-1 or lower, they're just as good as Atlanta. It seems like they just don't lead a lot of laps. But
so then why Elliott?
Well, Elliott with 3 top 10s in his 4 tries, he's from listening and getting all the quotes from guys the last couple of weeks, and even last Sunday, they've all pointed at Chase as the favorite for this Sunday's race.
Really?
Look, we don't have the speed. Yeah, Keselowski even singled him out. Boyer singled him out because they're talking about Atlanta in their press conference last Sunday after the race and said, look, we don't have the speed compared to the Hendrick cars. Next week, it's back to 1.5 miles. It's an age surface. Chase is a guy that he's got the fastest car right now. If you look, other than obviously getting wrecked at Darlington, he's been in the top 2 with 20 laps to go or fewer in the last 4 races. He could have won all of them if things go his way. He's aggressive, and now he's going to his home track. And you look, he typically bounces back after something like that. After Darlington, he finishes, should have won the 600. He was right there. Bad pit call, but rebounds to finish second. Then after that performance, he turns around and wins that Thursday night at Charlotte. He's running the top 2, wrecks with Joey Logano on Sunday. So I look for him to bounce back. It's his home track. He's going to go all out. So, yeah, that's why I like him over Harvick. Just you get a little bit better odds.
Okay.
And everybody keeps saying he's got the fastest car. And
right.
Plus, you got to look at what he's done on age surfaces this year. He was, got it right here in front of me. He was 4th in Fontana. 4th again in Darlington the first race, and then the second race he finished 38th, but he was second there on that last restart before Kyle Busch punted him. So he's got a top 5 car on age surfaces, and this is his home track. So figured let's roll the dice. Let's see what Chase Elliott can do.
Now, none of us have taken Kyle Busch, so he's 6-1. Like Harvick, he's only had 2 wins at this track, but recently, CJ, just not very good. 1 top 5 in his last 5 since his last win in 2013, leading just 11 laps at Atlanta during those last 5.
Yeah, and we have yet to see the real Kyle Busch that we're used to so far this season. I think he's picked up speed. He's not where Hendrick is. He's in position, but he's just not got that edge. And like you said, at Atlanta, 2 16th place finishes out of the last 5. That's very unlike Kyle Busch. 2 years ago, he started on pole, finished 7th, only led 9 laps. It's been, since 2013, I think, since he's led more than 10 laps at this track. Plus, you couple that with just the fact that this year he's not had the speed, and he's been vocal about not having the speed. I think the team's got to figure it out. They've got to find it. Is he going to finish in a top 10, top 5? Probably. Is he going to be there to take advantage of stuff? Should it fall his direction? Yeah. But if you're looking for somebody that's going to come out on an age surface and likely to win, at this point, I'm still staying away from Kyle Busch.
And at 8-1, CJ, you also, like me, you got a little bit on Blaney. You have more than I have on Blaney. For me, it's more of the Ford thing, and sort of like, okay, where Eric's going with Chase Elliott's kind of like where I'm with Blaney, is that, all right, maybe the history isn't there necessarily, but he did lead 41 laps last year, where Chase hasn't led any laps there. So I just thought it was worth putting a little bit on him. You've got more than I do, so you're a little bit more confident. I don't know what the situation is as far as whether he's trying too hard. Young driver, it happens. He's very talented. He's got to figure out how to avoid some of these errors, whether they're his or whether it's just luck or whatever.
Yeah, 2 third places at Charlotte. He led 60 laps at Bristol, ended up finishing last. But I think with exactly like I said before, with Penske on your side and that strategy, both his teammates with multiple wins so far this season, it's time for all those resources to start getting directed Blaney's direction or Blaney's way to make sure that he's able to find victory lane. And I think this is the perfect track for both strategy to come into play as well as the Ford combination here. So that's why I went a little bit heavier on Blaney, but I think anybody would be wise to choose him this week, regardless of not having a top 10. Like you said, led 41 laps here last year after starting 26. So that tells you he does have speed.
The only thing I'm concerned about, Eric, with Blaney is his odds. Thought the odds were a little low. Not sure why. I thought he should have had 8-1 odds last week. When we were doing the show. Not sure what they finally went down to, but Keselowski, we all have Keselowski, of course. You guys went a little bit stronger on him than I did. He's basically your top picks this week, and we've all gone with Logano. So why you just stayed away from Blaney. Or we all would have had all three Penske drivers.
Yeah, and I agree with all your points on Blaney because honestly, if you look at the cars with speed this season, if you want to go the overall speed, Blaney's arguably the second or third best car. I mean, you got to have Elliott, Bowman's been up there, Blaney's right there. He's a lot faster than Keselowski. It's just the finishes haven't been there. And like CJ said, if he doesn't make that mistake in turn 2 at Bristol, he's probably going for a top 2 or 3 finish there as well, if not a win. So he's got the speed, not the stats at Atlanta, but a lot of times that doesn't matter in this day and age with no practice or anything like that. So he should be there, but I trusted more like Logano. I mean, I was shocked he was 10-1. I mean, since he's joined Penske, I mean, he's only finished outside of 6 just 3 times. He ran well last weekend in Bristol again. Like we said, he's right there. Should have won or finished second. Granted, he hasn't had a top 5 since we came back from the coronavirus pandemic, but he's been around the top 5. So I would have thought he would have, if they would have flip-flopped Logano and Blaney with the odds, like I'm surprised they didn't. I probably would have taken Blaney over Logano. But if you're going to give me a guy that's won twice this year, he's good at Atlanta recently for 10-1. It was a no-brainer to pick him over Blaney. And Truex is another one on those 8-1 line that's intriguing. Yeah. He's never won in 21 starts in Atlanta. Yeah. He keeps giving things away. He doesn't have speed, but you look at him since 2012 there, 4th, 3rd, 23rd, 6th, 7th, 8th, 5th, 2nd. So it's just he's hanging there. I don't trust him again this week, but it's like it's intriguing an 8-1 that you'd get a guy with those stats at that track. So I wonder how many people in around this world that are going to try to get some movement on that, but it's just tough it would be tough to take him at that line for right now, for sure.
Well, we're all waiting. I mean, look, if he's still getting good odds at racetracks that he doesn't have any wins. So that means that once he goes back to tracks where he's had success, he's going to go right back to being 4 or 5-1. And I guess that's good. Let the odds go somewhere else where I'm going to avoid taking him.
If he wins this weekend and then they go to Martinsville on Wednesday night, and he dominated Martinsville both races last year. He was up front the whole time and obviously dominated the playoff race and won. I would say his odds, if he wins this weekend, is going to probably be what Harvick's are. He'd probably drop right down
maybe
to
lower.
1.
Yeah, if he wins this week, sure.
So
what about Johnson and Bowman? I mean, Bowman's 8-1. That surprises me. Considering, I mean, it's now they're giving Bowman and Blaney good odds, and I don't think they deserve these odds. I mean, I'm confused. We're usually bitching and moaning that they're not getting respect. Now they're getting, I think, too much respect at this track. But maybe that's just what's going on behind the scenes, and people are spending a lot of money on these kids. And I just don't think that they should spend a whole lot of money this week on Bowman. Jimmy Johnson, though. I like Johnson, and I know that we all like Johnson this week. Even though he hasn't raced well here the last 3 years, he's got 5 career wins at the track, and he won back-to-back not that long ago in 2015, 2016, so he's getting close, and he's 12-1.
Yeah, I like Johnson a lot, and for me it was kind of a choice between him and Bowman. I think Johnson's got a little bit more going for him, though. He finished second in Charlotte, the 600. He was disqualified from that. Came from 40th or last starting position to finish 11th in the shorter Charlotte distance later that week, and then started deep in the field at Bristol, 24th, and finished third. He's got speed, and he's not making the mistakes now, I think, that we saw at the very beginning of the season. And Atlanta's been just such a good track for him. Multiple back-to-back wins, 5 in total in 28 starts and 16 top 10s. Kind of throw away the past 2 years because we know he's been on, or last few years because we know he's been on a slump. But take his current momentum and put him back at a track where he really excels, and obviously take into account what he did at Charlotte. Kind of a similar track in terms of configuration, different surface, obviously. And I think you got a winning combination right there.
And CJ, you also like Hamlin. You're the only one going with Denny Hamlin this week.
Yeah, his odds were just too good to pass up. I mean, Hamlin's been quick all season. He seems like the one Toyota driver that's got it figured out so far. So at those odds, why not choose him? He led 26 laps in 2018 when he finished fourth, started fourth, finished 11th here last year. No sense in not taking him at that price when he is usually a threat to win or could be a threat to win
Sure.
just about any weekend.
No, good point. I mean, Denny Hamlin at 14-1, even last week, wasn't expecting Denny Hamlin, even though I put a little bit of money on him at the last minute myself. I was still surprised that he looked like he was about to win that race without all his big boys, including his crew chief with him. So things are going really well right now for Denny Hamlin. Eric, you and I like Kurt Busch and Clint Bowyer. Kurt Busch has got 10 top 10s in his last 13 races at Atlanta with 6 top 5s and 2 wins. 4 straight top 10s, third last year, one back in 2009, 2010 when he dominated those races. And Clint Bowyer, before the last couple of trips to Atlanta, had never had a top 5, but he's had 2 straight top 5s and is coming off a runner-up.
Yeah, those would be some good guys. I mean, Kurt, the fact that he finished 7th last week with that damaged race car was just eye-opening. I looked up at the end, like, where did he come from? He was 2 laps down, so that shows you they've got speed. Really, since Auto Club Speedway back in March, he's only finished outside the top 7 once. You look at his stats on age racetracks this year, 3rd, and 15th. He's right there. Atlanta's arguably one of his best tracks on the circuit. So it was kind of a no-brainer. I was shocked that he was coming in at 15-1 still. So, yeah, that one was right there. And then Bowyer, he's only got 2 top 10s in his last 9 at Atlanta, and both of them were the last 2 years, 3rd and 5th. There's only 2 top 5s in 19 tries there. He's coming off a runner-up last weekend as well, and you can get him for 22-1. It was just kind of a no-brainer, too, to maybe want to throw some money his way as well.
Yeah, good odds on some of those drivers right there. I think that's the thing that sticks out, whether it's Hamlin at 14, Kurt Busch at 15, Bowyer at 22. I even put a little bit on Eric Jones at 26-1, considering he's improved each time out. 7th last year at this track, coming off a good week last week. And the only other long shot you're going with is Christopher Bell at 125-1, right, Eric?
Yeah. The other guys I think will be solid, but I mean, if you really look at who is gonna absolutely win, I would stick with those guys. And for Christopher Bell and those odds, I mean, he's coming along. He's got 2 top 10s or 3 top 11s in his last 4 starts on the season. And you look at what he's done at Atlanta in the past. I mean, he was 3rd and 1st respectively in his 2 Xfinity Series starts there. He won the Truck Series race in 2017. He's starting to hit his stride. For those odds, throw a buck or 2 his way and see if it pays off in the long run. So,
never know.
I mean, yep. But other than that, yeah, as far as guys that will actually absolutely win, I don't think you want to go much past Bowyer.
And what about you, CJ? Anybody in particular? Any long shots?
No, I would say if I could have figured out a way to get Kurt Busch in there, I just kind of ran out of funds. I would love to have him on that list. I think he's a really good play this week. 3 wins, 14 top 10s out of 28 starts. It's a great track for him, and he's got a lot of speed and momentum on his side. He's probably the last one that I would be looking at. Clint Bowyer, not so much, just because of the inconsistency that we've seen so far this year. But I agree with Eric. I think once you get outside of those guys, you're really stretching for somebody who's going to be able to be in the top 5 and have a chance to win.
All right, and then just some more notes. Almirola was 8th from the pole last year, leading 36 laps. The only good result that he's had at that racetrack. Matt Kenseth never won a race at Atlanta, 0 for 29. And also Ryan Newman has never won in 27 races. He once won 6 straight poles from 03 to 05, and yet he's never won there. Buescher was 9th last year at 175-1. Okay, so what's the schedule? What's coming up now in the next week or two, Eric?
Well, we got Atlanta this weekend. You also have IndyCar as far as starting this weekend too.
So IndyCar begins this week.
Saturday night on NBC. They finally get on network TV. So they'll start at Texas too. Yeah.
Okay.
But after that, their next race is the July 4th weekend with behind closed doors. So they'll get started and then turn around and stop again.
Why?
Well, they're supposed to
That's
run.
IndyCar.
Yep. They're supposed to run Road America in a couple weeks, but because of Wisconsin's laws, they didn't expect them to be able to hold any fans. And IndyCar doesn't get the TV money NASCAR does. So they need to have fans in the stands if you're not,
Okay.
unless you're pairing with NASCAR, which what they were doing for the July 4th weekend, which is why I have a feeling that race will stay put because NBC can air both. But that's why. That's in a nutshell. That's why they moved Elkhart Lake back to July to replace the Honda Indy Toronto weekend. So that fills that gap, and hopefully they can have fans and gain money that way. So they're off after this weekend
Okay.
for basically a month. But NASCAR will turn around on Wednesday night again and run the first night race in Martinsville in NASCAR history. Granted, Martinsville ran some late models there. I believe it was last fall under the lights, but NASCAR has not ran there under the lights before.
That's good.
And they'll be there. So that
Maybe that'll change things up.
Should be. The only problem is I think it's like a 7 or 8 o'clock start, and it's a 500 laps. So I mean, that thing's not going to end until midnight, it seems like. But hey, it's a weeknight short track race. I like it. And then it gets more to your traditional Sunday weekend schedule. They go to Homestead and then Talladega. And then we'll find out here probably about 15, 20 minutes the rest of that. But if you really paid attention, you'd see Pocono and Indy are going to be your first 2 races up in this final phase.
Okay.
And then past that, I think Kentucky, I heard, is going to be after that. And then maybe the All-Star race on a weeknight after that. So we'll find out more probably here in the next 20 minutes.
All right. So and of course, so it's Martinsville on Wednesday and then Sunday again. And then it's Homestead and Talladega on Sunday. Yep. Right?
Yeah.
Sundays.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Sunday.
No Saturday night racing. Right?
Until where's the next Saturday? Probably Kentucky would be the first chance for that.
Yeah, that's usually Saturday night, right? Okay.
Well, I heard they may make that a Sunday afternoon now.
Why?
So,
wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know. I until we see the sky, I can only speculate, but I would assume because they can't have all 3 there at the same time with the trucks and Xfinity and Cup, I would assume they're probably going to run maybe like trucks and Xfinity, maybe a part doubleheader like they're doing this weekend, where they're both running Saturday. So maybe they'll run both Saturday and have the Cup guys run Sunday. But I haven't got clarification on why. So really, to answer your question, I don't know when we're going to have a Saturday night race again. It doesn't make sense to me why they're not capitalizing on that, but they're not.
At least we have Wednesday night racing. So
true.
There's that. Okay, guys. One of you will, CJ more than likely, will speak with me probably on Tuesday. Does that make sense, CJ?
Probably makes sense. Just need to check my calendar. Yep.
Yeah, something like that. And maybe you too, Eric. It all depends. I don't know if you join us. Usually your beginning week schedule is busy, but we'll figure it out.
Well, yeah, might be able, yeah.
So maybe we'll get you on, and I'm going to try this weekend so we can hook you back up on video, so all 3 of us will be able to see each other, and then after that we'll recap Martinsville and preview the next Martinsville race. So 2 shows coming up this week, all about Martinsville. We'll recap Atlanta. Thanks for tuning in to the Prime Sports Radio Network. Oh, guys, so quickly, Race Review Online, you can have a coverage of both races this weekend, right, Eric?
Yes. Yep, I'll have both. More IndyCar, obviously, Saturday, since it's a one-day show. And then Sunday, we'll have some NASCAR stuff up and ready to go for a double-header weekend with both this week. So it'll be a little bit busy, but we can manage.
And is that you too, CJ? Both races or just one?
Just one. Probably focusing on NASCAR. I'll be obviously intently watching everything that goes on for Indy as well. It depends on if we've got some fantasy excitement for that or not. But right now we'll have the fantasy preview up for Atlanta in the next day or two, and then we'll have a recap coming out on Monday for that one.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you in just a few days. Enjoy the racing.